Hey YouTube, it is League Turnover and it is Great League, Ultra League, Match League, and this morning I went over the top Great League teams. So if you want to check that out, go check out the video this morning. We're looking at Ultra League. I know not as many people play Ultra League, but we did have success with a few teams here, and one that I haven't even showcased yet, which I'm going to let you know about in this video. So if you want to play some Ultra League, you can do that with these teams. But let's start with what I started with in the first video this morning, GIRATINA Shadow ranking. So as you saw in the Great League this morning, jump to number 1. I kind of explained why it is the case there. And GIRATINA here is ranked. We have the normal at 12 and Shadow at 18. So obviously when you have a GIRATINA altered that's a Shadow, they only get sort of one of, and you got it this morning, and you have the option between Great League and Ultra League, and the non-Shadow GIRATINA has been a staple in Ultra League since Season 1, and you don't really have access to the GIRATINA altered in the Great League, and it's such a high-ranked Great League. Obviously, I think you should just keep it in the Great League. However, if you want to move it to the Ultra League, it's still a top 20 ranked Pokemon, slightly lower than the GIRATINA non-Shadow version. So I kind of explained this morning, how do you determine what makes a Shadow versus non-Shadow usable? And for GIRATINA, so there's two variations. There's the one is your glass cannon, and you might as well just have that nuke really nuke. So Shadow Typhlosion, Shadow Charizard, just have those like Shadow Pokemon, just output the extra damage. Shadow Machamp, just output the extra damage. You're pretty glassy anyways, and go from there. The other version is these more bulky, spammy Pokemon. So GIRATINA. And basically what you have to determine is, does the increased damage you do from the Shadow decrease flip matchups, because it then costs you less charge moves to like do it. So for example, GIRATINA altered, very spammy, Shadow Claw, Dragon Claw, Shadow Sneak here. I'll just show you the difference in just the damage here. This is the non-Shadow. You got your Shadow Claw doing 3.6 damage per turn. And then most of the time you're just throwing Dragon Claw, as that they're both 60 turn moves. You're really only throwing Shadow Sneak, maybe if it's super effective, or Dragon Claw's resisted as when you throw Shadow Sneak, but they're both 60 damage moves. So 3.6 and 60. When you go to the Shadow version, you can see that with that Shadow damage bonus, you're up to 4.32 and 72. So as you can just kind of mentally process, when you are now throwing these fast moves and charge moves, it's not going to take as many to take out your opponents. So the question then becomes, does it take how many less charge moves to take out my opponent? Is it just one less charge move now? Or is it maybe two? That'd be pretty aggressive to be two, but you know, the Ultra League is very bulky and GIRATINA is very spammy. So is it just the one, or is it two charge moves less to take out opponent? And if let's say it's one charge move less for me to take them out, how many less charge moves is it for them to take me out? Do they take one less move to take me out? Or even though I lose 20% on my defense here, because my defense is already so high, my stamina is so high, maybe I still do okay and I can still live a good amount and now take them out. So when you look at the Shadow versus non-Shadow in the Ultra League, what I think you're seeing here is, because everything is so spammy, like in the Great League, you maybe go from like 3 Dragon Claws to 2 Dragon Claws, which could be substantial just at the speed you need to take out an opponent, because you're doing everything in the one shield, right? But when you go to the Ultra League and everything has so much bulk, and it normally takes like 5 Dragon Claws anyways to take out an opponent, to move from 5 to 4 is probably not going to flip as many matchups as you need it to, compared to if you're dropping something down from like 3 to 2 or even 4 to 3 in the Great League, because stuff is glassier in the Great League, and when you start spamming at a harder hitting pace, those really do add up and can take them out faster, as opposed to the Ultra League. It's just like, yeah, you're hitting harder, but you've got these bulky level 50 Pokemon staring back at you that even if you're doing a little more damage, it's probably not flipping as many matchups as you need it to. So that's why I think it's basically on par. I think that even if you can take out Pokemon faster, you're probably taking them out in like 5 Dragon Claws instead of 6, or 4 instead of 5, but maybe taking some more damage back. So it's just probably not flipping as many matchups as you want it to. So that is the ranking for GIRATINA. Otherwise, it is the same same sort of thing that we saw last week and same that we see all season. Belly Bolt gets the sort of buff with the Parabolic Charge. And then you got your normal sort of Lapras with Psywave and all these bulk Pokemon this season. Bug Bite, Astonish, Fly and Brave Bird combo on Moltres now. And a few others, Tentacruel with Acid. So a lot of buff Pokemon, Fairy Cutter, Gliscod. These are all just kind of buff Pokemon this season that have a lot of play in the Ultra League. Okay, so let's look at some Ultra League teams. Like I said, I've got 4 for you here. Actually, I got 3 visuals, 1 verbal, which I'll tell you about the other team that I used. Starting with the team that I went 18-7 on. A very, very strong team. Weezing, Credility, Giratina. Again, this is the non-shadow version. You don't need the shadow like I just mentioned. Strengths of this team. Very bulky. So Weezing, Credility, Giratina all have good, decent bulk in in of themselves. Very spammy, right? Your claws, Dragon Claws at 10-8. You got your Grass Knot Rock Tomb at 14 and 12 turns. And then you have your Brutal Swings at 8 and then Sludge at 10 and 8. Sludge got buffed this season. So when you're just constantly putting that much charge move pressure on your opponents and you have the bulk to live their charge moves, it really causes your opponents some problems of like, man, these charge moves keep coming. What do I do? Do I shield? Do I not shield? What do they have? And so it just really gives you a sort of good opportunity there. In terms of coverage, there's the argument that you can run Bullet Seed on Credility because there's not a couple issues, but you're weak to ground on the lead. And if you safe swap Credility and you're still, yes, you can hit super effective against ground with Grass Knot, but Acid is still resisted on ground. So that's the first issue. The bigger issue, which I ran into a few times, is Steel. Sludge is resisted. Rock Tomb and Grass Knot are resisted. Dragon Claw resisted on Steel. So Steel was actually a bigger issue for me than anything. And especially when you get to a Steel like Tinkaton, where that is also hitting super effective against Giratina, which is one of the only few things that actually can hit you with the Shadow Claw and Shadow Sneak. So something like Tinkaton was a big issue. So if you want to replace one of these for a something that can hit Steels, whether it be a ground or a fighter, just kind of think through logically. Again, if you go fighter, you're going to be double weak to Fairy in the back. So maybe a ground Pokemon can give you what you need here. For Alligator, Drapion, Armored Mewtwo. And people don't need Armored Mewtwo. In fact, I would say you definitely should not use Armored Mewtwo because everything that hits super effective against Psychic got buffed this season. So it's not like Ghost got buffed, Bug got buffed, some Dark got buffed. So yeah, Armored Mewtwo, not as strong as it was in the past. But what is still strong despite attempting to sort of nerf it is Drapion. So the crunch fell from I think it was like a 50% chance of happening, and they nerfed it what I thought was hard, but it seems like you still get that crunch lowering defense at 20% chance. So there's supposed to be only a 20% chance of lowering your opponent's defense. Man, it seems like that crunch still lowers at a pretty damaging rate. So, Drapion plays the exact same. Super spammy, crunch hits hard, especially on the shadow, and you still have a chance to lower your opponent's defense, and you got the spam there. Shadow for Alligator, same thing. You have your Shadow Claw, Hydro Cannon combo, which puts on a lot of pressure to your opponents. So as you can see, I put Armored Mewtwo in because between Shadow for Alligator and Shadow Drapion, you're going to be a little glassy. So you need something that can offset that sort of lack of bulk in the front. So I put in Armored Mewtwo. Pick a third Pokemon, go through your list, find one of the bulkiest Pokemon, just make sure that you don't add a double weakness here, right? So you got Feraligatr, who's weak to grass and electric. You got Drapion, who's weak to ground. Trying to see at the top of my head if there's any other weaknesses here. So just make sure that you do not add like a secondary weakness. Like don't, in a meta that is dominated by like Belly Bolt, maybe don't make a second thing weak to electric on this team. So don't like add a flyer for instead of Mewtwo. Like do something with bulk that can kind of cover those two. Speaking about Belly Bolt, yes, it is very, very strong. You can limit it if you have like a ground type Pokemon hitting super effective against it and resisting the electric. So I paired it with Dripplin, Annihilate. So I think one of the harder harder opponents for this team is Dark, because Dark will resist the Sucker Punch, and Dark will resist the Astonish and Shadow Ball and hit super effective against Drifblim. Yes, you have a counter user and Annihilate, but it's still half Ghost, so you actually just take neutral from Dark. So that's one of the issues. You're weak to Ghost in the back. I mean, you have enough Ghost moves to deal with the Ghost in the back, plus you have Sucker Punch on the lead to hit super effective against the Ghost, so you can kind of deal with those weaknesses. Otherwise, I usually like using the Shadow Drifblim, and I actually still don't have a Shadow Annihilate. Just watching that Shadow Annihilate just counter through in the Great League and Ultra League, and kind of being upset that I don't have it. But I like the non-Shadow Drifblim and Annihilate worked out quite fine on this team. And a fourth team you're not seeing here, which I did very well with, which I'm maybe showcase this weekend, or next time Ultra League comes around, we'll see, was Dragonite, Jellicent, and Steelix. So you can use other dragons. There's Reggie, there's Guzzlord, who has a lot of play in the Ultra League. I've always just liked using Dragonite. I found that Shadow is almost a must on that one, because you're really just relying on that Shadow Dragon Breath and Shadow Dragon Claw combo. What I like about Dragonite compared to the others is you don't limit yourself with, you have the superpower. I mean, you're still going to get killed against like fairies and stuff, but having that superpower for steals or rocks like Credilli, hitting super effective against that with superpower really allows, like, I think separates Dragonite more than the other dragons in this meta. So you're going to be weak to Ice. You are going to be weak to Fairy. So I covered those two weaknesses. So I got Steelix to deal with the Fairy, and I got Steelix to kind of wall like Belly Bolt, because Belly Bolt is everywhere. So wall that there. You got some bulk in the back there, because Dragon is a little glossier, especially the Shadow versions. You have Jellicent and Steelix have a lot of bulk, and Jellicent is both the safe swap and the one that can deal with the Ice as well. So that team worked out very well for me. I actually, so I was down, because I tried Summer Cup. This is just an aside. I was down to like 2,300, and between the first team I showcased here with the Wheezing, I went 18-7, and then I did well with the Dragonite team, and I'm running with another team with Scizor on it. I'm actually up to like almost 2,600 now. So I was down at like 2,300, and then in like 3 teams, I jumped up to 2,600. So Ultra League has generally treated me well. I think we'll probably still play mostly Great League this week, just because that's what people watch. That is what people play. So we'll probably focus on that. But let me know what you're playing this week. Let me know what you want to see. Oh, plus there's event coverage, right? There's, I think there's the Pokemon Go Championship this weekend. So there's the Pokemon Go Championship event. And then there is the start of the week max finale or whatever it's called. That's coming up too. So we got a couple event coverages for you coming your way. So stay tuned for those. But I appreciate you watching. Thanks for the support. And I will see you guys in the next one.